name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. This is something that I do every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now 5:30 a.m. I do this to remember my life's objectives and my principles in order to prepare for the coming day and to have a bit of a retrospective on the last 24 hours to see how I did. So before that, let me say welcome to new subscribers. Just let you know that this is a video about me, so I'll be talking about myself the whole time. I'll read and respond to comments at the end. Also, I do often talk about sensitive subjects in this video, so be prepared if you're not a fan of talk about things like death. Let's get started. So first, secondly, actually, I'm really out of sorts. I overdid it yesterday again, physically, and I'm all off my game, making mistakes this morning. I've got a foggy brain. Even my vision seems to be blurrier than usual. So I attribute that to an aggressive day in the sunshine at the river yesterday. Exercising my body more than I probably should. My wife even forecasted, watching yesterday, commenting to our daughter that Dad's overdoing it again. And today I'm paying the price. Whew. But it sure was fun. I sure did enjoy our river day yesterday. So I'm going to now talk about the last 24 hours. Slept great, as I do every night now. Gone apparently are the days when I couldn't sleep. Those seem to be a memory. Thank goodness. Stress of work is over. The day, though, unfolded very well, and it was a fun day. Our daughter came to visit the night prior. We had a nice dinner together Friday night, and on Saturday, the plan yesterday was Emily wanted to go to a spot that we used to take her when she was a girl in a river way up in those mountains up there. So that was all put in my hands. Because I'm the outdoor guy, so I knew the spot that she had in mind. It was actually a spot that she had remembered a photo from. So one of the many photos that I took back in the softypapa 1 years, particularly a photo of her standing or sitting on a rock in the river, and I knew where that spot was. So I coordinated everything. Sister Yoko joined us. We headed out. We stopped at a convenience store, the last convenience store on the way to the mountains. Loaded up with stuff. Emily got her little floater, and we went. And boy, we had a good time. You know, one of those, you have the cycle and the cadence of days, and every now and then, one of them just, if one of them really drops down, you have really bad days sometimes. Sometimes they get really good, and yesterday was one of those really good ones. But the goodness came at a price, which is, boy, I don't feel good today. And it's because I was running around in my swimsuit, clambering around rocks. The water temperature was just perfect for a day at the river. So I spent a huge amount of time underwater. There's the place that we go, there's this series of rapids, and I remember from the old days you could go underwater and literally it's like climbing a rock face. You can climb underwater. The water's very clear, and it's a heck of a lot of fun trying to climb one rock over another up the rapids. I did that. I went exploring an abandoned farm. I went clambering up a little canyon, and plus I had a lot of fun with my daughter. But a lot of stuff I did, I just kind of, Emily was floating on her thing, and I just kind of took off. Boy, so I paid for that, but enough on that. I wanted to make a comment about a couple of things. The challenges. There was one challenge, which was that I'm misunderstanding with my wife. It was one of those human misunderstandings where, I said right, I thought I said right, she thought I said left. It wasn't that. The particulars aren't necessary. It had nothing to do with directions. But there was a moment of miscommunication between the two of us, which was awkward for a moment. So I kept my reason about me, I immediately recognized, so now this is where I refer to my principles to say, how did I use my principles to manage that situation? Well, first of all, I didn't need any temperance. It wasn't a situation that required any emotion, or no emotions rose. It was a moment of confusion. So I used reason to decide a path forward, to decide, oh, well, using the metaphorical right and left, I made an effort to realign because it didn't really matter, it was incidental, one way or the other, to the other way, but Yumiko had already corrected to my way. So it was a matter of each of us recognizing that the other had a different idea, and we each tried to align our expectations with the other person. She beat me to it, so we went her way, and I let the matter go. So the reason I'm pointing this out was that was a pretty good example on both of our parts of using of controlling our feelings in the face of confusion. No emotion was involved. Using reason to recognize that in the balance, the right or the left, so to speak, didn't matter one way or another. And both of us coming forward to adjust our expectation to align with the others so that we could then proceed. She beat me to it, and so we went with that. So that was good. That was good. I think that was an example of not just personally being adroit, is that the word? Nimble on my feet, but my wife also. And a good sign of our efforts to date, almost 39 years in as a couple. The second thing I wanted to comment on was just kind of an observation. It was really interesting. This is our first time with our daughter since she started her career on April 1st. And so we hadn't seen her because she's been very busy. She started her first, grown-up job. And boy, she's doing well. And I'm not talking about the job itself. I'm talking about her attitude and perspective relative to facing down the real world of having a job and needing to be responsible and take care of yourself, and being thrust into a situation where you really have no choice anymore. There's nasty people at work. There's nasty situations. There's hard stuff that needs to be done. And I wasn't sure how neither my wife or I were sure how she would adjust to that. The stuff that you spend 40 years pushing through because you got to pay the bills. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but I'll just summarize the point to say she's handling all of that very well in a very mature and adult manner. She does indeed there's a personality at work that's kind of this passive-aggressive senpai that's kind of venting their own personal stuff out by making life hard for others, namely Emily. But Emily seems to be handling that just fine. Again, I don't need to go into the details. I was really impressed by the way she was handling that. She's got a lot of work, a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of things she doesn't know. She doesn't see the things that she doesn't know as anyone else's issue, but her own, to simply improve her knowledge. She recognizes her place on the rung of the ladder of the corporation. She sees the people within the organization to whom she has a good chance of forming alliances that will be fruitful in helping her to onboard better. Furthermore, she seems to be doing really well managing her finances and finding her way in. And here's the thing. She doesn't, we were kind of afraid we'd see her a couple months in and she might be like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, Mom and Dad, but there was none of that. It was, this is really hard. There's a lot of stuff. I'm doing good on this element. This person's a prick, but I'm learning how to manage them. I found these other people that really seem to be knowledgeable. I'm trying to learn from them. And not one word about this is too hard or life sucks or anything like that. But it was totally buckling under. If she was, and I've had lots of people that have been assigned to me as a project manager, in the course of my career. She would, if I got somebody like that was a new hire fresh out of college and saw the world that way and could see the lay of the land, I'd be very pleased with them and their prospects and recommending them on. So enough said. I'm really pleased with how Emily is adjusting and finding her way in. Oh, you might find this interesting on a kind of a cultural note. Her office that she works in, because Emily's bicultural, bilingual nature, a few people can speak English, but they don't speak it at a native level like Emily. She's kind of noted that when the phone rings, because it's that kind of a communal thing, if there's English on the other line, they always give it to Emily. And they had this one difficult situation that dealt with someone overseas in the United States that kind of was cheated somebody, kind of. So they sicked Emily on them, and it was a restaurant that had messed up the billing of some coworkers who were traveling in the United States, and they needed someone to talk to the manager of the restaurant to reconcile the charges. And they were commenting. They couldn't believe everybody. Emily said they were all, because Emily had to raise the temperature a little bit because they were being unreasonable. The restaurant had made a mistake. Emily was enough playing Mr. Nice Guy, and she raised the temperature. Now she's dealing as an American with other Americans, right, who are being unreasonable. So she's bringing out her Americanness. And she said after she was done, she turned around and everybody in the office was like, because they couldn't follow what was happening, but they couldn't believe that Emily was talking to them in that manner. But she wasn't embarrassed. She was like, well, I just don't get it, right? That's how you deal with a situation in America. That's how you deal with the situation as an American. Now she knows how to that you can't do the same thing in Japan. She can wear both hats. Yesterday, we had one interesting anecdote after another as Emily was relating all of these things. She's been traveling a lot. She's been several interesting places, but enough about that. That was interesting. Okay, so I think I've covered enough of yesterday. Let's go over my creed, which consists of 8 objectives as follows. To always be ready to die. To have my affairs in order, my relationship sound, and my life's work complete. And all 3 of those are in good shape. Especially, boy, now as I feel my feel so old today. So it's good to know that all that's in order. And then number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do the thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And 8 is to keep my balance. Now let's move on to today. It's Sunday. Emily's still here. She'll be here all day. I think we're going to do some antiquing today. Go to one of our favorite antique stores in Shimizu, which they are in an old apartment building that they bought the whole building, or they're renting the whole Showa era apartment building out, and they're making the apartment building into an antique store. It's our favorite antique store. They've already redone one of the units like that, and they have the unit up at the front ahead of the street that they're attempting to make into a cafe. Now, the cafe's not ready. It's taking longer than they thought. It's a family. It's a husband and wife and their grown son that are doing this. But they have, because they don't have a lot of space at the unit that they're using, they've expanded their antique store into that space. So we're going to go there today. Now, I don't necessarily need more things from my store. I have a lot of stuff, but I always like to go and have a look and maybe pick up 1 or 2 interesting items. You never know. There's always something special. I did lose my bag with everything in it. I mean, everything in it. I think I know where it is. But I was a little frustrated this morning when I woke up. Emily took over my room because the guest room in the house isn't ready. I used a Temperance to control my emotions and reason to recognize these and limits, to actually recognize the scope of my control and apply limits to my thoughts and actions this morning as I was finding it. And I came to the conclusion that I must have left it at my in-laws' house when we were there for dinner last night. So that was another case this morning where within the last 24 hours that I had to manage my emotions, and did it well. That's it for today. Let me read, see if there's any comments. Hi, Tim. Good morning, Kurt. Sometimes I look back to my early 20s and think now, how on earth did I adapt so quickly to life? I think in part there's a natural life survival instinct. I think you're right. Yeah, they're very malleable to whatever circumstance they find it. People are always, I'm always hearing my contemporaries, or many of my contemporaries, complaining of the young people, particularly Generation Z, being incompetent or incapable of managing themselves in the modern world. My thoughts, which I rarely vocalize, but my thoughts, because it's, people, older people like us, we sometimes reflect back and imagine that the way that we figured things out, the way that we adapted, right, Tim, is the best way. But my perspective is that the young people just coming up are better suited for the world that they're going to inherit and run than any of us, right? I mean, I would much rather have whatever's coming in the hands of Generation Z and Generation Alpha than to be left in the hands of the likes of my generation. I don't think my generation, we're mistooled, right? If you think about tooling out for a particular paradigm, our tooling was the best that we could do with in the period that we came of age in the 80s. The young people now, with their and I don't need to give details, but their understanding of the cloud-based world and AI and networking and the world as it's changing, they're in a position to understand and manage a world that I soon won't even understand. Hi, Heather. Heather, if you're still there, Heather, I saw your YouTube store had a Daruma for sale. Is it an old listing or new? So I was thinking about you, Heather. Sorry, anyone else that's watching. I'm going to talk business for a second. That Daruma, if you're talking about the little red one there, it's on the YouTube store. That's a really special item. I may have told this story before, so bear with me, and pardon me if I tell it again. When I was softypapa 1.0 and I had my business before, there was a small Daruma store, Daruma making. They make the paper mache Darumas in downtown Shizuoka, run by 4 people who at that time were in their 70s and 80s. They had no kids. It was it was like a family of siblings. And they had a beautiful old store in downtown area. And I found that store, and I bought the Daruma from them, which were handmade, and they'd made those from hand for generations in that little tiny shop. And they made them all by hand, and it was a really neat operation. I since looked for them since I came back. I guess they all died, and the store was demolished and is now a parking lot. So I thought, well, that's the end of that. Those little paper mache Daruma are never going to no one's ever going to enjoy those again. And they're not particularly special, other than the fact that they're handmade. They're not Daruma that are made over anywhere else. They're made right here, the old-fashioned way in Shizuoka. So I thought that was done. I actually had all the listings still in my template to use, but I couldn't use them because they're out of business. But I recently found an antique store in Fujieda, about a 45-minute drive from here, and back in the corner they had a box full of those very Daruma, various sizes. So I actually grabbed a couple and went up to the counter and I said, hey, I talk in my awful Japanese. I said, these Daruma, I think, and I could recognize them because they had the numbers, and I remembered the numbers painted on the bottom and the plastic wrap around it. But I wanted confirmation, and I said, these Daruma, I was talking to the young man working there, and he was 35, something like that, not too young. I said, don't these come from a little tiny factory in downtown Shizuoka? And his eyes widened like this, and he said, yes. And the first thing he said was, my wife heard him say it across the store. She said, later she heard him say, how did you know about that? Apparently the store's been out of business, but he didn't know that a decade plus earlier, I had been an antique dealer and had done business with them, and they had given me a tour. I knew the whole place intimately. So anyway, I snatched them all up. I bought all that they had left. And I guess I'm now the sole possessive owner of the last Daruma from that store. And I don't have a lot. I have like 6 of one size. I have 2 sizes listed, 6 of one size, like 2 of the other size. And then I have 2 small ones that I just didn't even list, that I just kept for myself. So that's what those are, Heather. They're not special insofar as like a unique daruma that is uncharacteristic of others, but they're special in that they represent a real, authentic, handmade, traditional daruma made here in Shizuoka by craftsmen and women who no longer, in a family that no longer exists. Their workshop has been razed to ruins and is now on a parking lot. That's the story. I didn't list them on eBay. I just put them in my store. I don't know why. They just felt too. You know why I didn't list them on eBay? Well, I think I know why. I didn't want to. Oh, I don't want them to go, right? I don't want them to. I want them to. I only want those things to sell to people that can really, appreciate it. I think that's a better chance on my YouTube store. eBay tends to kind of be like a churning marketplace of consumption. People buy stuff and they don't know what it is. If people buy it on my YouTube store, there's a better chance I can tell this whole story. And I've been meaning to make a video about it. I listed them, and then I didn't really follow up. I really need to tell this whole story that I just told you on a video or something, but I haven't. Okay, I hope that answers it. Yeah, so there's two models there. There's two sizes there. That's true. Not sure I want to try to start out again in my teens. Nor me. No, thank you. Yes, the red one, Heather adds. I know you had the little mascot for the softypapa shelf. That's why I was wondering if you went back to the one store. You know it better than I do, Heather. That's exactly what happened. I bought it. Actually, because I didn't tell the whole story when I just told you that story. I bought one, and there's the security. What is that? The security guard? Oh no, it's people with a big dog. It's a couple, and they got this huge dog. I better head out because it's almost time for us because we usually run into them when we're walking. So I've been talking for a long time. I got to go back and take our dog for a walk. That couple, it's just the husband this morning. They have like a, Russian wolfhound or something like that. Ollie does not like that dog. They drive around. They come here in that little tiny K car every morning, park it there and go for a walk because we live in this parkland, or next to this parkland, so people come here to walk their dogs. Anyway, Heather, so I bought it. I was a little bit I wasn't telling the truth in the story. I went there twice. The first time I was there and I realized what they had, I bought one, I brought it back to my store and put it there with the plan to go back and buy the rest when I went back. And that's what I did last week. I went back and bought the rest, made a special trip there just to get the rest. You know the story better than me, Heather. I know. Let me make sure I answered that right. Yes, the red one. I know you had the little mascot for the softypapa shelf. That's why I was wondering if you went back to the one store. You got it. That's exactly what I did. I wasn't sure if the store was bugging out. LOL. They were fine. They were still were almost there. Oh, there's Gerald. Hey, Gerald, I got a message for you. I didn't get a chance to ship your tea because it was Emily showed up. And then yesterday was the post office wasn't open and we were in the mountains. I'm sorry. I'll get it to you. Tomorrow will be Monday. Your tea will ship out. I'll go to get your tea in the morning, and then I'll ship it out to you in the afternoon. Thank you for your patience. I know you said I hope that was okay. I know you said you're okay because you were stocking up on the shincha for the future. So actually, you bought 4 packages. I have 3 of them. I just need 1 more, so I'm going back. So I've actually got 3 of 4 of your to almost fill your order. Gerald, now I've said all that before I read your message. Konnichiwa, Kurtsan. Can you get those crackers you sent me on my last order? I'd like to buy some with my next tea order in 2 weeks. I was telling you, Miko, that I said if I add these senbei, I wonder if I should list them to the store. You betcha. I'll get you some of those. Well, are you talking about the little ones in the package, the with the peanuts? They're called now I'm having my brain's lost. It's my favorite, my wife's favorites. It's the little rectangular package, and you pop it up, and they're like little crescent-shaped crackers with the peanuts. Is that the one you mean? Because I've been sending a lot of different rice crackers to my customers in different, so I want to make sure I get you the right one. You want your followers who will appreciate them in order to have a better chance to get one. Exactly, Heather. That's why eBay, when you put stuff on eBay, it's a little bit like taking an heirloom out and putting it on the shelf at a garage sale, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that the people that are at the garage sale don't have an appreciation, but they don't know you from Adam, right? I mean, if like some sort of a family Kikse or something with a special tail, that tail is not going to transmit, right? Someone will buy it off of eBay, they'll paint it with the eyes, do the Daruma thing, and then the following year they'll throw it away and it'll be gone, right? This is a really special item. It deserves, I'm like mine on my softypapa shelf. I didn't even take it out of the plastic bag because that's how I remember it, right? So you got it, Heather. That's exactly it. I wanted to keep it I wanted to keep that Daruma in a place that only people that would figure the story out, or that I would have a chance to tell the story to. I should probably write something up to put an insert when people, just in case, so if people buy it, they'll know. You get me so well, Heather. Thank you. Heather goes on, that's a massive dog. I was not sure. That's not a pony. They usually go together, and it is it's so funny because they drive that little tiny car, right? And the dog, they drive by, and it looks like a pony face sticking out. Gerald says, do you come across any vintage geisha postcards? Funny that you asked. Just last week I saw some geisha photos or postcards. If you in flea market adventures, looking for some for reference from a company. I'll keep my eyes open. I don't remember where it was, Gerald. It was just last week. I was looking through a stack of photos. There were a stack. It was really interesting. Oh, gosh, this was really interesting thing, guys. It was a stack of postcards. I would have bought them. It was a whole stack. And it had, I don't know if they're geisha, Gerald, but they were, women in their classic, the geisha style hair and all. And there were postcards like from like the Meiji period, or I don't know, not the Meiji period, maybe the Taisho period, turn of the century. But one of them stood out. It was like geisha, like, kabuki theater actor, and then Abraham Lincoln. It was like if some Japanese geisha artist guy decided that he's going to draw a picture of Abraham Lincoln, because it wasn't quite right. It was like someone that was an artist that was well practiced in drawing Japanese features tries to draw Abraham Lincoln, and it kind of gets it a little wrong, right? And it really stood out to me, and I was on the spot. I was going to buy the whole stack of cards because I thought they were really cool, but it was at the flea market. But the flea market we'd go to is kind of different. It's not like it's always the same people. It's always the same vendors. And that particular vendor was nowhere in sight. I looked around, the person wasn't there. The flea market, his stall was just there and open. I put everything down, and then I forgot to come back. So the next time I go to the flea market, if that vendor's there, I'll look for or ask about that, because they were pretty dang nice, and I'll keep an eye open for that. And I know others, and I think Heather, you had said that you were interested in the. Sorry guys, this Good Life meditation is turning into Japan Antique Roadshow talk about that stencil, and that vendor hasn't been back for a couple of weeks. So I mean, not weeks. That they only have that flea market every month. I haven't seen that. I've gone back. We were there last week. That vendor wasn't there, I think because of the rain. And all of his stuff, I think I know why he wasn't there. Because it was a rainy day. The morning started off with torrential downpour. And all of his stuff is like paperware, right? So he doesn't come if he's any chance his stuff's going to get wet. I'll keep an eye out for that. So we're going antiquing today as well. We're taking our daughter out to do it. And so I'll keep my eyes open for art and stuff, and the geisha photos. And Gerald, I used to have, I wish I had kept it. When I was softypapa 1.0 years, I was known at the antique auction. My specialty at that auction was boxes of old photos, because we would get these people, doing like, what are they called? Like, estate sales type of things, right? They're wiping out a whole estate, and then these houses would come up with these boxes of old photos. I mean, they're like old photos. Nobody ever wanted them. They could rely on me to buy every photo. I had boxes after box of old photos, art in there. I even had, guys, and I'll just tell you guys, between the two of us, I had photos that soldiers, men in World War II, they took cameras with them on campaign and developed the film when they got back. I had those photos too that these soldiers took. Now, I was so, there's a big old spider. I had so much, wow, that's a fat spider. Look at that. See it? You're a fat spider. So you get a better view. You see it right there? Oh, it's got spiderlings on it. It's got baby spiders on its back. It's a ground spider with all the baby spiders. Anyway, I mean, I never showed those photos except to just a few people because some of them were rather horrifying. Would be the right word? Anyway, I'm not going to go down that route. I wish I had all that stuff because, oh well. If you want a glimpse of those, check out. I created a WordPress blog page called Japan Antique Photos, and I've got probably a couple of hundred photos there. If you find it's on WordPress, I don't even use WordPress anymore, but Japan Antique Photos, and there's dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of photos. There's certainly hundreds, I think. Take a look if you want, if you're curious. Watching softypapa. Yay, antiquing, yay. Heather says, I know I'm going to be watching softypapa videos on my flight to Hawaii in the morning. Thank you, I appreciate that, Heather. I haven't been making too many videos lately. I'm kind of going through kind of a transition period. This happens sometimes. It's like a transitional period. I mean, I feel like I've run out of the retiring in Japan phase. Feels like it's over, like I've done that. And now I'm ramping up for what's going to be next. So there isn't a lot of new stuff. But I appreciate that, Heather. Gerald says, I use photos of Japan for reference to paint them from my comic landscapes and people. You're not the first, Gerald. I have there's an author, Hagerstrom, I think her name is, and she contacted me, and she would use my photos, the photos that I sent her, or give her permission to use for the covers of her books. So she's got a couple of books. One of them is called Miss Overseas, I think it's called. It's about the Japanese comfort women that were sent to the South Pacific to in the service of the soldiers. You know what I mean? Very interesting book, to be sure. And she used one of her books has a group of women on the photo, and that photo was a photo that she found on my Japan Antique Photos WordPress page, and she's an author, and she wrote to me, and I think she used another one too, because I just gave her carte blanche license to use whatever she wants. Oh, that's it. And speaking of which, just I'll just have this as an incidental. Speaking of being used, there's a TV show with what's his name? It's a famous celebrity. I can't remember his name that does this show, and their producers are using some segments of one of my videos in their production. So that's coming up. They should let me know this month how much they're going to use. And so that's cool, Gerald, that you do that for your landscapes and for your people, for your comic. And good luck to you. I forgot to mention with your comic. I hope that's going well. Heather adds, wow, those are probably interesting to see the World War II photos. Interesting and horrific at the same time. Some of them were really interesting. I mean, like there's this one, I mean, I don't know how I got the photo. There's this one, and there's the machine gunner, and he's down in the trench, and there's another guy next to him, and you can see the kinetic action of the machine gun going off, and the photographer had jumped up to take a photo, and there's the battlefield out there. That was one that was really interesting. Another one was a guy wearing a gas mask doing an anti-aircraft gun shooting up into the air, and then there was others that I can't even begin to tell you about because they're horrifying. Heather's, and then I gave all that away. Museums love pictures like that. Yeah. I thought about that when I had all that stuff. But you know, Japan has a mixed relationship with its past, particularly World War II. It's like I was listening to this. I was watching a Japanese drama. I don't watch a lot, but I was watching a Japanese drama, and these like 25-year-old, 30-year-old people were talking about the past, and they were saying Japan did this, did that, and then they got to the war era, and all they could basically say was, and then something really bad happened. And I go, oh, that was a perfect way to describe it. It was the Japanese, to a couple of young Japanese people in the context of it, like they know that what they said was that there was our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, and then something bad happened, right? That's the way they see it. They don't really talk about it. Still no guitar. Good. That's a great name. Good morning, Kurt. Good morning to you. just the daily little adventures. Oh, thank you, Heather. I need to find my footing. This summer heat and everything has just wiped me out, but I think I'm going to find my footing. Again, I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching. Well, I better wrap it up. Finish up this walk, get home, grab the dogs, go for a walk, and continue the day. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I wish you all the best, and have a safe flight. Heather, Gerald, good luck with the comic, and Tim, good talking to you as well, and still no guitar. I hope you can find your guitar. Everybody gets blah in the summer. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. It's not just me, huh? Bye. Bye, everybody. Take care.